We all grew up with a simple promise: make money and you will be free. The more you earn, the more doors will open. One day you can buy back your time, retire in peace, and live however you want. That story is told in every culture, every family, every career path. But what if it is one of the greatest illusions of modern life? What if money, instead of buying your freedom, was quietly buying you two very different men? Living in very different times warned us about this. Adam Smith, the so-called father of capitalism, watched the markets of Scotland and London roar to life. He saw wealth being created, but he also saw the way society began to worship it blindly. Seneca, a Stoic philosopher and advisor to an emperor, wrote from the quiet of his study in Rome. He looked not at markets but at men. He saw how riches chained them to fear, anxiety, and wasted time. When you put these two voices together, a picture emerges. Money is not just a tool. It is a trap disguised as freedom. It organizes our society and steals our peace of mind. At the same time, if you have ever felt that the chase for money leaves you emptier instead of freer, you are exactly where you need to be. Adam Smith is often remembered as the father of free markets, the man who gave us the idea of the invisible hand. But if you stop there, you miss the darker side of his vision. Smith was not blind to the moral traps hidden inside money. In fact, in his book, The Theory of Moral Sentiments, he offered a warning that is more relevant today than ever. He wrote that human beings naturally admire the rich and powerful, and we often despise or ignore the poor. This admiration, he said, is one of the most universal, yet most corrupt tendencies of mankind. Think about that. We are taught to believe money equals merit, wealth equals virtue. When we see someone in the expensive car or the corner office, we feel they must have done something right. We treat their words with more weight. We copy their habits. But Smith pointed out that this reflex is not rational. It is not proof of goodness. It is a kind of spell cast by wealth itself. The invisible hand that Smith described was never meant to be a magic cure for inequality or injustice. It was an observation. People pursuing their own gain can unintentionally create order and growth. But that same pursuit bends our moral compass. Once wealth becomes the ticket to admiration, every ambition is redirected. People choose careers not because they love them, but because they are respected. People work brutal hours not because they must, but because they want the glow of prestige that wealth delivers. And society begins to measure virtue, not by courage or wisdom, but by the size of a bank account. Smith was clear this shift distorts our values. It rewards appearances rather than substance. It teaches us to admire the man with gold more than the man with integrity. And once admiration is corrupted, behavior follows. If applause goes to the wealthy, then every decision, every sacrifice is filtered through one question: will this make me look richer? This is why Smith's insight still cuts deep. Money does not only shape markets, it shapes the gaze of society. It turns wealth into a spectacle, a theater in which the rich are actors, and the rest of us are the audience. And the danger is that we stop questioning the script. We accept the play as truth, forgetting that admiration was bought, not earned. If money can buy respect, then respect itself is devalued. That is the beginning of a cultural trap, one that Smith recognized in his time, and that dominates ours even more. If Adam Smith showed us how money bends society, Seneca showed us how it bends the soul. Living in Rome 2,000 years ago, surrounded by emperors and elites dripping with gold, Seneca saw something others refused to name. He saw men enslaved not by chains, but by their own possessions. In his letters, Seneca returned to the same theme again and again. Wealth, he said, does not free you, it binds you tighter. The poor man fears hunger, But the rich man fears everything. He fears thieves, he fears rivals. He fears losing status, he fears that tomorrow he will not have what he has today. And this fear consumes him more than hunger ever could. Seneca called it the paradox of wealth. You spend your life chasing riches in order to feel secure, only to discover that riches make you less secure. Money promises peace, but it delivers anxiety. You lock your wealth in safes. You track every investment. You guard it like a soldier on watch. But the very act of guarding is the proof that you are not free. And then there is time. Seneca was obsessed with time because he saw how easily people gave it away. He wrote that life is short, not because nature makes it so, but because we wasted in endless labor, in meetings and chasing numbers on a page. We sacrifice our hours to accumulate coins we cannot carry beyond the grave. To Seneca, this was madness. He called it the greatest fraud of all. Trading life itself for possessions that will vanish when we do. What makes Seneca powerful is his clarity. He did not romanticize poverty. He admitted that money can ease discomfort and provide necessities. But he drew a line beyond basic needs. Wealth does not add freedom. It subtracts it. The man who craves more is never satisfied. He is like a sailor drinking seawater, thirstier with every gulp. And the man who spends his life protecting his fortune dies without ever living it. Seneca offered an alternative virtue. He said is the only true wealth: courage, wisdom, self-control. These are treasures no thief can steal. Number market crash can erase. To build your life on virtue is to build on solid ground. To build it on money is to build on sand, forever shifting, forever unstable. This is Seneca's darkest truth. Money does not simply sit in your pocket. It seeps into your mind, it organizes your fears, your desires, your very sense of time. And by the time you realize it, you may have sold the one resource you can never buy back: your life. Seneca warned us about the private chains of wealth. Adam Smith, in his own way, warned us about the public ones. He saw a mechanism at work in society. Subtle but powerful, it begins with admiration. We admire the rich, and that admiration sets off a chain reaction that slowly bends our behavior and shifts our standards of morality. Think about how this plays out. A society showers respect on those with money. We watch them, copy them, even excuse them when they fail. Their success becomes a kilo. In Smith's words, wealth commands the attention of mankind. Once attention is granted, the rest follows. We crave that same gaze, that same respect, and so we adjust. A young man choosing his career is no longer asking, "What do I love?" or "What will serve society?" He is asking which path will earn the admiration reserved for the wealthy. A woman deciding how to spend her weekend is not asking, "What will make me whole?" She is asking, "How will this look? What will it signal about my place in the hierarchy?" This is how morality drifts. Hard work was once about providing for your family. Now it becomes about climbing toward applause. Education was once about cultivating wisdom. Now it becomes about credentials that can be displayed. Generosity was once about kindness. Now it is about being seen as generous. Smith saw this drift as dangerous, because when admiration becomes a kind of currency, people will trade anything to acquire it. They will trade their honesty. They will trade their rest. They will even trade their integrity. Wealth does not just buy objects. It buys the theater in which we act, and it rewrites the script of what it means to be good. This is not the invisible hand Smith is famous for. This is the invisible leash pulling us in directions we did not choose, tightening whenever we mistake prestige for virtue. And once the leash is on, even those who never get rich still march in step with its pull. living lives measured against standards set by the wealthy few. If Adam Smith showed us how admiration reshapes society, Seneca revealed how desire reshapes the self. He believed money sets off a cycle that is impossible to satisfy. It begins with a taste and then turns into hunger, then becomes fear and finally ends in emptiness. Seneca compared wealth to seawater. The more you drink, the thirstier you become. At first, you chase money to cover basic needs: shelter, food security. These are natural desires. But once they are covered, something strange happens. The desire does not fade, it grows. You want not just a house, but a bigger house, not just comfort, but luxury, not just safety, but status. Each new purchase creates a new hunger. Each gain creates a new gap. And behind desire lurks fear. The more you own, the more you can lose. A poor man does not worry about stock markets crashing, but the rich man lies awake at night haunted by numbers. Fear of loss breeds more desire, because the only way to quiet that fear is to accumulate even more. Seneca called this slavery. Not physical slavery, but slavery of the mind. The chains are invisible, but they are no less binding. You do not notice them when you are running, chasing achieving, but you notice them when you pause. You realize the things you work so hard to buy do not fill you. They create silence that feels even louder. Modern life amplifies what Seneca warned about. Advertising manufactures desires we never had. Credit cards make it possible to chase them faster. The result is a loop earn. Spend, fear, repeat. You feel empty, so you buy. You buy, so you fear. You fear, so you earn. And all the while, the one resource that could have brought meaning, your time, slips quietly away. Seneca's truth is brutal but clear. Money cannot stop hunger, because it feeds the hunger itself. It cannot deliver peace, because it manufactures the fear that destroys peace. The more you run, the less free you become. And in the end, the greatest loss is not the money spent. It is the life that was never lived. Seneca warned about the cycle of desire. In his time, that cycle was fueled by envy and personal craving. In ours, it has been industrialized. What was once a private weakness has become a global business model. Money is no longer just a medium of exchange. It has been weaponized against us. Advertising is the first weapon. Entire industries exist to make you feel incomplete, then offer a product as the cure. The point is not to meet your needs, but to manufacture them. Every image, every slogan whispers the same message. You are not enough until you buy. And once you buy, the whisper starts again. Credit is the second weapon. Desire alone is powerful, but desire combined with easy debt is explosive. A generation ago, you had to wait until you had the money. Today, one swipe of a card delivers the illusion of abundance. You get the thrill of ownership with none of the immediate cost, but the bill always comes. And when it does, the freedom promised by the purchase is replaced by the pressure of repayment. Then comes financialization. The third weapon, money, no longer only buys goods. Money now buys money. Complex systems of trading and speculation create fortunes out of numbers. Moving on a screen, the system rewards those who already have wealth, while those who do not are drawn into it through mortgage, loans, and investments they barely understand. It is a casino disguised as progress, and most players walk away poorer. Not richer. Smith saw the power of markets. Seneca saw the chains of desire. Today both are fused together, refined into machinery designed to keep us running. We are not just participants in the economy, we are targets inside it. And the system is built so that, even when we think we are choosing freely, the house always wins when money is weaponized. The damage does not end with individuals. It seeps into the structure of society itself. Adam Smith was fascinated by the way markets create prosperity, but he also saw a shadow running alongside it. Wealth does not spread evenly. It concentrates, and when it concentrates, it changes the rules of the game. Smith wrote that governments are often influenced by the interests of those with property. In plain words, laws bend toward money. The wealthy not only enjoy admiration, as he noted, but also the ability to shape the environment in which everyone else must live. Over time, opportunity narrows. The ladder is pulled up. The distance between classes hardens. This inequality is not just about numbers. On a balance sheet, it corrodes trust. When ordinary people feel that the system is stacked against them, they withdraw their faith in the institutions meant to serve them. They stop believing that effort leads to reward. They begin to see society itself as a game, rigged by the rich. The result is alienation. Workers feel detached from their labor, citizens from their government, neighbors from one another. Social bonds fray, resentment grows, and polarization deepens. And yet, in the middle of this breakdown, the wealthy still receive applause, simply for being wealthy. Smith saw this as a dangerous distortion. Prosperity is supposed to strengthen the public good. But when admiration of wealth blinds us, prosperity becomes a private fortress, guarded by laws and systems that no longer serve the many. This is the hidden cost of money at scale. It does not just buy things, it buys the shape of society itself. If Adam Smith showed us how money corrodes society, Seneca showed us how it corrodes the self. For him, the most precious resource was not gold, but time, and he believed. Most people squander it. In pursuit of wealth they will never truly enjoy. Seneca warned that life feels short, not because nature makes it so, but because we waste it. We spend our best hours in offices we hate, in meetings that drain us, in late nights staring at screens. We tell ourselves it is temporary, that freedom lies on the other side of the paycheck. But year after year slips away, and the freedom we chase is always postponed. With wealth comes another cost: anxiety. The rich man does not sleep better than the poor. Often he sleeps worse. His mind races with numbers, with markets, with fears of loss. The more he has, the more he has to defend. And defending requires vigilance, calculation, constant attention. What looks like security from the outside is, on the inside, a prison of endless worry. And perhaps the deepest loss is in values. A man who spends his life chasing wealth begins to measure everything against money. Relationships become transactions. Success becomes a number. Even virtue is twisted into a performance for prestige. Seneca believed this was the true poverty, to have riches in the hand but emptiness in the soul. He wrote that a man is poor not because he owns little, but because he craves much, and in craving he forgets how to live. This is the hidden cost of money at the personal level. It steals the hours that matter most. It fills the heart with fear, and it hollows out the meaning of life itself. These ideas are not abstract. You can see them alive in the lives of people around you. 3 stories different on the surface, but bound by the same structure. Case, the CEO who cannot sleep. He has everything the world tells him to want. A corner office, a portfolio that grows by the day, applause at every conference. Yet when the lights go out, he lies awake. His heart races with the thought of one bad quarter, one market crash, one slip in status. He tells himself, just one more deal, one more year, and then I will rest. But Seneca's words echo here. He has traded peace for possessions. He is free in public, but shackled in private. Case B, the family in the mortgage trap. Middle class, respectable, proud. They stretched their budget for the house, in the right neighborhood. It was not just shelter, it was a statement. A badge of belonging. Friends admired it. Neighbors envied it, and Instagram confirmed it. But when interest rates rose, freedom vanished. Every paycheck disappeared into the mortgage. Vacations canceled, arguments multiplied. Stress filled the air. Adam Smith would have recognized it instantly. Admiration driving behavior, behavior driving change. Case C. The gig worker who lost his craft. He started as an artisan, proud of his skill. But rent rose, bills piled up, and he turned to gig work to survive. One delivery here, one ride there, one freelance job after another. The hours multiplied, but meaning drained away. He no longer built with his hands. He no longer felt connected to his work. Smith would call it alienation. Seneca would call it the wasting of a life. Either way, the result is the same: exhaustion without fulfillment. 3 lives a CEO at the top. A family in the middle, a worker at the bottom. Different positions, same outcome. Money defined them, directed them, and in the end diminished them. If the CEO, the family, and the worker show us how money shapes individual lives, the darkest truth is what happens when money reshapes society itself, because money does not stop at buying things. It buys influence, it buys power. And power bought with money rarely serves the common good. Adam Smith worried about this even in the 18th century. He observed that laws often tilt toward those with wealth, because governments depend on property owners for stability. 200 years later, the warning has only grown louder. Lobbyists write legislation. Corporations fund campaigns. The wealthiest voices drown out all others. In this theater, democracy risks becoming a performance, staged for the many but directed by the few. And then there is philanthropy, which should be generosity, but often doubles as strategy. Billionaires donate fortunes to universities, museums, foundations. The public sees kindness but look deeper. These acts can redirect culture, buy prestige, even soften criticism. It is not just giving, it is laundering power, transforming private wealth into public influence under the mask of charity. Seneca would not be surprised. He warned that wealth corrupts the soul. Here we see it corrupting institutions. When a handful of people can shape the laws, the media, and even the definition of virtue itself, society grows poorer even as their riches grow larger. This is the darkest truth. Money does not simply threaten your freedom. It threatens the freedom of entire nations. It does not only hollow out the lives of individuals, it can hollow out the very core of a civilization. If money can corrupt both the soul and society, then the first act of resistance is not to reject money, but to investigate it, to shine a light on the hidden bargains we make every day. Seneca urged us to question our desires. Adam Smith urged us to examine our motives. Today we can turn those questions into a checklist, a practical tool to see whether money is serving us or enslaving us. 5 questions, simple, but not easy. First, when I buy something, what am I really buying? Safety, status, comfort, or am I just filling a silence inside? Second, if I lost half my wealth tomorrow, would I change my ethics to get it back? If the answer is yes, then my morality was already for sale. Third, how many hours a week am I trading for $1? Not salary on paper, but hours of life commuting stress. Recovery time away from family. Write it down, the number will surprise you. Fourth, if I could never spend another cent, which activities would I still choose? Which friendships, which passions, which moments would remain? That list is your real wealth. Fifth, for the next 30 days, can I go without buying anything unnecessary? No excuses, no delays. Just a clean test of whether desire owns me or I own desire. Pause. Right answer honestly. Because the chains of money are often invisible until you try to move without them. The checklist is the beginning, but awareness without action is fragile. To change your relationship with money, you need practice, not theory. Smith showed us how admiration shapes society. Seneca showed us how desire enslaves the soul. Together they give us a map for freedom, and that map can be tested in 30 days. Week 1 audit and reality check. For 7 days, write down every dollar you spend. Track every hour you work. Then ask, how many of these choices were made for admiration? Not necessity. Did you buy it because you wanted it? Or because you wanted to be seen with it? Did you work those extra hours because you cared? Or because you feared falling behind? By the end of the week, you will see patterns you never noticed before. Week 2, the non-purchase challenge. For the next 7 days, buy nothing that is not essential. No gadgets, no clothes, no entertainment every time desire strikes. Delay 48 hours, write down the urge. The reason and what happened when you said no. Seneca believed that freedom begins when desire loses its grip. This week will show you how strong that grip really is. Week 3, social audit. Now shift the lens outward. Cancel one subscription you do not need. Delete one app that fuels envy or fear of missing out. Say no to one invitation that is about status, not joy. Adam Smith warned that admiration warps our morality. This week, take back control by breaking one tie to the prestige economy. Week 4, reinvest in being with the money and time you saved. Invest in what cannot be bought? Spend an afternoon with family. Learn one small craft or skill that connects you to creation, not consumption. Give 1% of what you save to a cause outside yourself. These 3 acts: time, skill, contribution, are Smith and Seneca's antidotes. Virtue lived, not displayed. At the end of 30 days, measure again. How much money did you save? How many hours did you reclaim? How much did your anxiety drop? These numbers are not about wealth. They are about freedom. The detox is not permanent. It is a reset, a reminder that money is a tool, not a master. And once you see the chains for what they are, you can begin to walk without them. Adam Smith and Seneca came from different worlds, but their warnings meet in one truth. Money is powerful. It builds societies and destroys them. It brings comfort and chains. It fuels desire and fear in the same breath. And the illusion, the darkest illusion, is that money guarantees freedom, but freedom is not for sale. It is chosen, it is built in the way you live, in the values you defend, in the hours you refuse to trade for numbers on a screen. Smith showed us how systems bend toward wealth. Seneca showed us how the soul bends under desire. Together they remind us that the only way to live free is to use money without being used by it. So ask yourself now, are you living for money or are you using money to live? That choice belongs to you. Start with the checklist, try the 30-day detox. Reclaim the hours that matter. And when you do, leave a comment below with one word: freedom, because that is the project we are building here. A community that refuses to be owned by what it owns. Use money, do not let money use you.